everyone, and welcome to Tech Answers. Today's video, we're going to be building a system in the Metallicgear Neo Mini, and then after that, we're going to take a look at the thermals. Now, to figure out how well it does thermally in the case, first we're going to test everything outside of the case. The system specs are i5 6600K, an ASUS Z270 Strix ITX motherboard, Corsair Dominator Platinum at 3000 MHz, 16 gig, a Zotac 1070 Ti Amp Edition with a deep cool capped in 120mm AIO. The power supply is a Corsair SF600. This case technically takes a full-size ATX power supply, but I got it, saves a little space. We'll see how it turns out. All right, let's figure out how hot these components run in a best case scenario on a test bench with no case to restrict airflow. All right, what I'm going to do is run AIDA64 for the CPU, while also running Heaven to test the GPU. Kind of mean, but it should be able to take it. All right, so I've been letting it run for about 15 minutes. Let's go ahead and stop that. Stop AIDA64. Let's take a look. Our GPU hit a max of 64, and that looks about right. The CPU hit a max of 75, and it was probably just a spike, so it was only momentary. Also, I just wanted to add that the CPU is overclocked to 4.7 gigahertz. I know this ITX motherboard doesn't like to necessarily overclock much higher than that unless you have a fan on the VRM, which I would highly recommend with this motherboard. The frequency of the graphics card looks like it was sitting right around 1848 the entire time. All right, let's get these parts off the test bench and into that case. With the assembly done, I have a few notes about the build. The Captain was probably a bad choice. The way the lines come out and the way everything is a lot smaller on an ITX board, where the water lines come out of the pump block housing, you can't rotate them enough to get around the RAM or the VRM heat sinks. They're always interfering with something. Second, the ITX motherboard helped with cable length big time because there isn't a whole lot of room to hide your cables in here. However, the one drawback is the ITX cables were not long enough for the GPU, so I had to get my Corsair RM850X GPU cables, the stock cables, to make it all the way to the GPU. I think it would be a huge pain to do this with a full-size ATX power supply unless you just wrapped up all the excess cable up top. Now, with all that aside, let's see how well it can keep these components cool. I'm going to do the exact same test I did last time, which is AIDA64 and Heaven running at the exact same time. And we're gonna let that run for 15 minutes. Not sure what happened, but Heaven crashed on that one about almost 10 minutes through, so gonna give it another shot. All right, so Heaven has been running for a little over 11 minutes stable. It turns out I needed to back my CPU down 100 megahertz. I'm gonna go ahead and quit out of this. And I'm gonna go ahead and quit out of AIDA64. Max GPU was 72 degrees. And max CPU hit 79, but it looked like it was sitting around 74 with a little spike right there to 79. The GPU would hit 72, but go back down to 70, up 71, 72. So about 71 average, I'd say peak. It was down the clock speed was just a little down. The clock speed was down to 1835. Now I'm going to play a game and see how it does. I have played through this part of the game so many times. While temperatures seem to be about the same even during gameplay, I think it's a fairly solid case. I would definitely add a fan controller because an ITX motherboard isn't going to have many fan headers. And you should definitely plan ahead for your cable links because there isn't a whole lot of room to stash the cables. Other than that, solid case, enjoyed building in it, and I look forward to making some tweaks and reconfiguring things now, taking into consideration the things that I know now. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions about this case, leave a comment down below, and I will see you in the next one.